So here's how you can help. Our goal this morning is to have 100% of you in this room, in this moment, make a meaningful donation. You get to define what that means. Whether that donation is $5,000 or $50, what matters today is that you give and that you can continue to support this amazing organization. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But we also need your help in amplifying and making a call to action for your friends, your colleagues, and for the community at large which we serve. So take a quick moment, and I'm leaning in hardcore to those of you who are maybe in our younger generation who were basically born with high tech in your hand. Share what you're doing this morning. Take a selfie, take some group photos, share it on social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, if that still is up and running. I'm not even sure anymore. You can post our QR code, which you'll find in our program. In fact, if you repost that and share that, people can use the QR code, or so I'm told, because I'm not exactly tech savvy. So I think I'm giving you good information when I say you take a picture of that, others will take a picture of it, they can go right to the linked page that allows you to give right away. So let your network and your community know that today you're here to support this amazing work. So now I'd like to invite an important guest to join me on the stage for the singing of our national anthem. It's my honor to introduce Grace Kenny from Ross A. Lurio Middle School in Bedford and a voice student at the Manchester Community Music School. If you would all please stand. Grace, come on up.
Don't worry, Jeffrey, I'm still using your speech. Thanks, Scott. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. We have a great program this morning, and we're happy to kick off the holiday season with you. My name is Roy Tilsley. I have the pleasure of serving as the board chair for Families in Transition. And on behalf of the entire board and our president, CEO, Maria Devlin, I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. As Scott shared with you earlier, this is the first time that we've been in this room for this breakfast in 3 years. I don't know about most of you, but I was a little lost the last couple of Tuesday mornings before Thanksgiving, all dressed up with nowhere to go. This is also our first time that Maria Devlin, our President and CEO, has been able to join the breakfast in person, and I know that you'll be looking forward to hearing from her soon. Since the advent of the COVID pandemic in 2020, Maria and the entire team at Families in Transition have been tireless in their efforts to achieve our mission of preventing and breaking the cycle of homelessness. Every day we provide shelter, food, and housing to hundreds of adults and families who likely have nowhere else to turn. Today, we celebrate many successes from the past year and highlight how FIT is helping people change their lives for the better.
The slide works.
During this past summer, Families in Transition completed our latest housing project at 434 Union Street, known formally as Angie's Place. This 3-story structure was renovated and rebuilt with $1.9 million in federal, state, and city funding, which was all designated for housing purposes. The building now has 4 one-bedroom and 7 studio apartments, including 2 units that are handicapped accessible. Each apartment has its own kitchenette and bathroom, and there's a shared laundry facility on the first floor. There's also an office for caseworker to provide support and case management for residents. With this addition to our housing portfolio, I'm happy to share that there are 11 residents now living in this building. All of these residents were previously at our emergency shelter at 199 Manchester Street. They now have their own home and a place to call home for the first time in a long time. More recently, and with deep appreciation to Hannaford Supermarkets, who has been a long-term partner to Families in Transition for at least 20 years, and I know they're over there someplace. Families in Transition has been able to redesign and reimagine the new food pantry that we've added since we were all here together to create a participant-focused shopping experience. So gone are the days where people lined up at an appointed time and stood outside the building and got handed some boxes of food. People who come to the food pantry now literally have a regular shopping experience where they get a cart, they get to make choices, and this is all possible because of the participation that we have from Hannaford and our other partners. We've increased, since moving to this space in December 2020, our capacity and ability to serve adults and families in the food pantry program. In 2021, we served an average of 530 households per month. That has grown to 900 households a month this year. This increase in service is made possible by the partners that we have who provide us with the food and support we need to provide to the community. In 2021, our food pantry received more than 980,000 pounds in food donations from our partners at USDA, the Food Bank, and the Fresh Rescue Program. With a monetary value of $1.7 million, these partners are the backbone of our food pantry and dining operations and help to ensure that we meet the need of our participants and community. That need has surged in 2022 with a little over a month to go. We are well over 1 million pounds of food, 1,250,000 pounds, with a value in excess of $2 million. These partnerships are what helps Families in Transition meet the needs of our clients and prepare for the demands of tomorrow. We couldn't do this work without them, and we thank them for their support in helping us meet this need every day. Our work in the community comes in many forms, and recently we were excited to celebrate the 20th anniversary of our Outfitters thrift store located on the west side. The thrift store provides an important service to the city and community while also generating revenue for Families in Transition's operations. Under Kim Linnell's leadership, and I think I saw, if Kim's still out at the table, she's here someplace, wave your hand. The Outfitters thrift store has evolved. Recently, Timberland supported us and did a complete refresh of the store, including painting, expansion of the backroom storage space, and enhancements to the shopping experience. Similar to the food pantry, the decor and design of the space is designed to make the shopping experience more enjoyable and fun for people who go there. Moving on to the next one. Oh, sorry, I have one more thing to say here. It's in this book. At the recent 20th anniversary celebration, we celebrated the Outfitters thrift store, and we netted over $5,000 in one day as part of that celebration. Now moving on to the next slide. Today we are also excited to share that Families in Transition has secured the necessary funding and support to expand our family emergency shelter in Manchester. For the past 2 years, we've seen an average list of 50 families waiting for a room at our family shelter, and we've been eager to expand our capacity to meet this need. Over the past few months, we've been working with a number of partners to secure the necessary funding to increase our capacity in the family shelter to serve more families and children. I'm happy to share that beginning in January of 2023, we will begin construction to add 3 more units to the family shelter with a planned opening by April. With support from the Cogswell Benevolent Trust, an anonymous institutional donor, and funding from the City of Manchester's Planning and Community Development Department, this increased capacity means that 3 families currently experiencing homelessness every day will begin their journey to a new tomorrow. These organizational accomplishments should come as no surprise because it is what Families in Transition does best. We meet people where they are, we work individually and compassionately with all of our participants, we endeavor to bring dignity to everything that we touch, whether that be our food pantry, our emergency shelters, or our housing programs. On a more personal note, it continues to be my huge honor to serve alongside Maria and the rest of the board members as we look to the future for Families in Transition. Every day we endeavor to make decisions that prioritize dignity, empathy, compassion, and safety for our participants. We welcome, support, and partner with our participants every day in the hopes and aspirations of making tomorrow better. This is why today is so important. This work, our mission, is not possible without the resources we need to feed, shelter, and house some of the most vulnerable members of our community. And as you'll see later this morning, every day Families in Transition is doing just that, changing people's lives. So please, on behalf of the Board of Directors, Maria, our staff, and the rest of the Families in Transition team, give. Give as much as you can, because today is the day that we ensure that this is possible every day. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Roy, and thank you for highlighting some of the big accomplishments that Families in Transition is so proud to have been able to accomplish in this past year. You can now have a sense of some of the scope of the need, so hopefully that feeds your soul just a little bit. Now we're going to feed your bellies so that we come in hot in just a few minutes and ask you to give. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to serve breakfast, but we're going to, in order to keep this moving efficiently, because we know time is extremely valuable and we're all very busy as we wrap things up to get ready for our own holidays. We'll be back in just a few minutes while you're eating to hear from a few of our special guests. So enjoy. See you in a minute.
The caffeine from the coffee is beginning to surge through the system. So that we can stay on time, I'd like to continue with our program at this point. As you can well imagine, None of this is able to happen in a vacuum. Despite all of the amazing work done every day by Maria Devlin and Stephanie Savard and the full team at Families in Transition, the partnerships that we lean in on every day to serve the many people who are in need, the numbers that were described by Roy Tilsley a few minutes ago, showcasing that the need still remains greater than our grasp of being able to resolve the challenges for the families who are facing hard times here in New Hampshire. All of that requires a more group effort. Some of our most important partners are with us this morning. And while I'm sure even those who were involved in the elections can say, thank God that's over, we move past politics and the rhetoric that tends to spike news coverage and spend a lot of money on ads, and we move back to the problem solving and the policy decisions and the coming together that needs to happen in order to solve the problems that face all of us in New Hampshire. I think it's fair to say that we came through the pandemic quite beautifully as a state, as a community, and as a country. Not without challenges, but we're doing okay. But we still need to do more. There are a number of folks who've been left behind, and again, like Roy said, there are folks who are still on the outside trying to just get in and to rebuild. So to that extent, we've leaned in heavily with Families in Transition. And looking at so many familiar faces here in the room, I know many of you have done the same thing. We've really worked in close partnership with a number of our friends who serve us in Congress every day, and some of those friends are here with us this morning. I'd like to start with a dear friend of mine she's been in politics for a very long time, but remember, she started her first campaign when she was 7. So our state's senior senator, a dear friend of New Hampshire, and someone who's done a lot of good in her public service and giving back. I'd like to welcome United States Senator Jeanne Shaheen.
I wondered how he was going to get out of that. I keep reminding people, the senior senator means longest serving senator, the senior senator. But Scott, thank you. I'm glad to see you've adopted the post-COVID dress code of getting rid of ties, very casual. I think that's one of the things that COVID has done that none of us will want to necessarily bring back, the ability to be a little more casual. But good morning. It's really nice to be back with all of you in person this morning, and especially pleased to be here with Maria and Roy, and with your new tenure, Maria, to be able to be here in person this morning is really terrific. And pleased to be here with Mayor Craig, who does such a great job in the city of Manchester, and with my colleagues, Chris Pappas from Congress and Maggie Hassan from the Senate. And I know the election is behind us, but let me just tell you, I am so pleased that I will be able to continue to work with both Chris and Maggie, because I know when it comes to, yes. But for all of us in this room who care about food and shelter for those who are most in need, I know that they are always on the right side of those questions. So, and I want to thank all of you who work with Families in Transition, all of you who partner to try and support their efforts for the work that you do every single day. As Roy pointed out so well, the needs post-COVID have been increased for people. And as we know, people can't feel safe and secure if they have to worry about where they're going to put their head at night and where their next meal is coming from. And so the work that you do every day to ensure that people can get the support they need makes such a huge difference in turning people's lives around. So thank you to each of you for what you do. As we all know, right now, New Hampshire is facing a housing crisis. There isn't anywhere I've been in the state where housing has not been an issue. And unfortunately, it is too often an issue. Even for those who have jobs and some retirement, they still can't pay the cost of housing. So for those on the economic margins of our society, those needs are exacerbated. And especially now as the weather is colder and having a roof over your head literally may mean the difference between living and dying, your work is even more critical. One of the things that we have tried to do in the congressional delegation is during the last few years to make sure that there are dollars coming from Washington that can help with people who are in need in this pandemic, who have suffered because of job loss and the other challenges that have been created. We will continue to do that and work to ensure that the support is there for those of you who are at the community level, but also to try and urge the state to continue to make the best use of those dollars that we can, because, again, that's the difference for so many people. For you at Families in Transition, you're able to provide a bridge from the crisis of housing insecurity to the comfort of a safe place to call home. And so I am pleased to be here with all of you this morning to applaud the work that you do and to continue to look for every way I can in Washington to support that work. So thank you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving to all of you.
Before her career in public service, Jean Shaheen was a concerned young mom of 3. Her motivation coming from within, her own needs of her family and hoping to make a difference in the lives of others. And we're fortunate that our other United States Senator, Maggie Hassan, also joins us. Her son, Ben, providing wonderful inspiration and then motivation for why she has propelled to national heights in politics as well, but with a real focus on giving back to communities. So it's my honor now to introduce United States Senator Maggie Hassan.
Well, good morning, everybody. What a sight for sore eyes to see this really full room. It's just really a wonderful morning to be able to see everybody. It's wonderful to be together after COVID. It's particularly wonderful to be here at this event, an event that I think for so many of us has been a marker of the beginning of the holiday season in New Hampshire, and a reminder that when we come together and really think about what we are grateful for, we can look around an absolutely packed room like this and think, this is what we are grateful for, the ability to come together and to give back and to be stronger as a result. So it's really wonderful to see you all this morning, and it is wonderful to be here with my colleague Jean Shaheen and Chris Pappas and the mayor, and to Roy and Maria, thank you for everything that Families in Transition does and for being the driving force, I know, with so many others for this breakfast this morning. To all of the advocates and the business leaders and religious leaders and volunteers who are here today, please know that we know that none of this happens without you. Not only a breakfast like this, but of course the work that this breakfast supports. I was thinking a little bit driving over here about why we mark the kickoff to Thanksgiving week in New Hampshire with this breakfast, what it means to be working together to help people who experience homelessness to move into transitional and then eventually their own home. I was thinking about how casually I said to somebody over the weekend when they asked me what I was doing for Thanksgiving, that I was going down to my cousin's in Rhode Island, and thinking about how easy it is to take for granted that a relative of yours has a home, and that 20 of you can gather there, and somebody will bring the sweet potatoes, and your hostess will cook the turkey, and you'll just gather. And of course, for the people that we are all here to support, that is not something that they can take for granted. A roof over their head, the ability to pay an electric bill, the ability to afford to heat a home, which is a challenge for more and more Granite Staters right now. None of those things are taken for granted by a lot of people in our state. And that's something that we need to continue to work together to address. And that's what this breakfast is all about. I am consistently impressed by the all-hands-on-deck spirit of the people of New Hampshire. All across our state, people demonstrate compassion, their willingness to come together, and their willingness to form partnerships, which is the other thing that I think is so great about our state. We have people here from local, state, federal government. We have the non-for-profit sector. We have the private sector here in New Hampshire. All of us work together to address the challenges that we face, and that's really the spirit that Families in Transition represents. So thank you for everything you're doing to break the cycle of homelessness, to provide food, shelter, and other critical supports, while also working to put those who are struggling on a path to long-term stability and to self-sufficiency. I do also want to add to something that Jeannie just said, which is at a time when people, even who are sheltered, who do have homes, are struggling with expenses, it's more important than ever that we all come together and be as creative as we can to help people pay those bills, especially home heating bills, especially electric bills right now. And this is just a little bit of a plug. If you know somebody who is struggling, please reach out to my office, to Jeannie's office, to Chris's office. We have constituent service staff. People think they don't qualify, let's say, for home heating assistance, but they might qualify for some rental help. This is all about finding ways to get people through this winter as we address the longer-term challenges and causes of inflation. So I hope that you all will, as you hear friends or family concerned about getting through the winter, reach out and find out what's available to help. So last thing, you know, one of the great things about this job is you meet a lot of different people, you meet a lot of young people, and recently the question I've been getting from a lot of young people is, how do I make a difference? What can I do to really help somebody else? Now, I'm looking at a room of people who make a difference every day. But I think the answer here in New Hampshire has always been, and it's just demonstrated right here, that we don't wait for other people to tell us how to make a difference. We listen to the people around us, we observe, we engage, we follow our passions, and as a result, person by person, neighbor by neighbor, family by family, we make a difference. Families in Transition really represents that, as well as any organization in this state. Each and every one of you is making a difference by being here this morning. You'll continue to make a difference each and every day in your own way. But just never forget how important it is that you engage, that you listen, that you roll up your sleeves, and that in true Granite State fashion, we never wait for somebody else to solve a problem. We just engage and get it done. Thank you so much for being part of that, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Maggie, and thank you, Jeannie. Our next speaker is someone whom we know very well. We seem to have a good track record in New Hampshire of electing people to represent us in Washington who are truly a part of and have stakes in our community. From a small family business who literally feeds us on most Saturday nights and has the best mudslides in town. I mean, come on. To wonderful constituent service and someone who is a real friend of New Hampshire. And honestly, too, considering he's a friend of mine, I can riff on this. He's like one of the nicest guys you ever come across, no matter what your politics are. And I understand we all have different opinions about how to get things done. But you gotta love a guy who's just a really nice guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Chris Pappas.
Scott's pretty nice too, isn't he? Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to join you here. There isn't a Zoom screen big enough for all of your faces, so I'm glad we're back in person. And congratulations to Roy and the board, and to Maria and Stephanie, the entire staff at Families in Transition. Thank you so much for the work that you do that makes such an impact on folks here in Manchester and all across our state. And I'm grateful to our previous speakers, Senator Hassan, Senator Shaheen, for their work in Washington. I'm glad to be back joining them for the fight in the next 2 years. And to Mayor Craig and other leaders from the state and local level who are here, thank you for your work. Today marks the 29th year of this event, which we know is critical to providing the funding that is so essential to families in transition. Now, that mission couldn't be more important this year, providing food, shelter, services for individuals and families in need to ensure that they gain support and self-sufficiency, and even more importantly, respect and dignity. As New Hampshire continues to grapple with an addiction epidemic and other factors that are leading to housing insecurity in our state, we know this work couldn't be more important, and that it is changing and saving lives in Manchester and all across our state. Your work to provide Granite Staters with shelter and housing and communities throughout the state is vitally important, as are the meals and supportive services that you provide to many more. Now, this is a difficult job under the best of circumstances, and as previous speakers have indicated, the last 3 years have been anything but the best of circumstances, but Families in Transition has stepped up. And is able to do that work and meet the challenges because of the support that's generated in rooms like this. So thank you for being a part of that mission. Now, New Hampshire is an impressive place, and one of the reasons is that we don't give up on those who are struggling. And there are many ways for us to be of use and to serve others. And as Senator Hassan just said, this is a state where we roll up our sleeves and we find ways to help our neighbors who need help. We do that enthusiastically because if the tables were turned, I think many of us would expect that folks in our community would be there for us too. We'd want the same kindness and compassion and the same helping hand extended to us. That's what Families in Transition embodies. That's the New Hampshire spirit. And we're a better, stronger place to live, to work, to raise a family because of organizations like this one. Now, I've been working with Senator Hassan and Shaheen and my colleagues in Washington to provide the kind of support that organizations like this in our communities need through a really difficult time. Through important pieces of legislation like the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan, we were able to secure millions of dollars for New Hampshire to support those who are struggling and those who are housing insecure. And there's more work to do. I was able to recently tour the facility at 434 Union Street, a number of beautiful new units that have come online to provide transitional housing. We need a heck of a lot more of that all across our state. And it's going to take a whole of government and a really whole of society endeavor to be able to pull folks together to realize the kind of housing that New Hampshire needs for its future. But this is a good start here today, and I thank you for giving generously to support these efforts. We've got to continue to work to lower costs for everyday items like food and gas. There's more work to do on that front. And in the next Congress, I look forward to moving forward on some of these priorities and to working to support the mission of Families in Transition and other organizations that are doing incredible work across our state. Now, one thing we should realize today is that there is no season for addiction, for housing insecurity, for homelessness, for food insecurity in our state. And so it's an important time to come together and to focus on how we can support Families in Transition. But really, this is a 365-day-a-year operation, and your support, your engagement, your volunteerism is needed all throughout the year. So I encourage all of you to carry forward from today a sense of urgency about the need for food, for shelter, for supportive services that exist in our community and that persist all year round. Carry it through the holidays and into the new year. And I just thank you for being part of this event today, for giving generously, for understanding that in the season of Thanksgiving, it's about showing gratitude, but gratitude isn't just about speaking words, it's about demonstrating it through meaningful action. That's what this breakfast does. Thank you for giving, and thank you for being such wonderful community members, and I wish you a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Take care, everyone.
I have the honor of being able to volunteer to serve on the board of directors for the Greater Manchester Chamber. And I don't know why they brought me in, because my business sense is shockingly thin. But it's an honor to be able to serve and work with such great, energetic folks. And from that vantage point, I get a chance to see how the community works and really some of the inner workings of how solutions are sort of brought to the fold. We're fortunate that here in Manchester, we've had a distinguished line of city leaders who have been able to tackle the challenges as they have arisen in their times in office. And over the last 3 years, it's the broken record, but it's just the reality of it took everything and everyone in all of our powers to be able to muscle through a challenge that none of us could be prepared for. And I'm particularly proud of the work that our city's Mayor Joyce Craig has done to help this city, to help our community, and to help nonprofits like Families in Transition. So it's now my honor to introduce the Mayor of Manchester, Joyce Craig.
Well, good morning. It's wonderful to be here in person with all of you, and I want to thank Senator Shaheen, Senator Hassan, and Congressman Pappas for being here as well. I'd like to start by thanking you all for joining together to celebrate the importance of giving and highlighting the essential work of Families in Transition. By being here today, you're helping to provide shelter, affordable housing, food, and much-needed services to members of our community who need it most. Last year, Families in Transition served over 193,000 meals, provided life-saving support to 216 families with children, and sheltered or housed 1,724 people experiencing homelessness. Families in Transition is the largest emergency shelter in New Hampshire, and they provide much-needed shelter beds for Manchester residents, as well as residents from across the state who are experiencing homelessness. And as addiction and mental illness continue to affect members of our community, and vacancy rates are next to zero, we know this is an incredibly difficult time to do this work. My deepest gratitude goes out to all of the staff of FIT who are unwavering in their support for our most vulnerable residents. I know it isn't easy, so thank you. Families in Transition has been a leader in the effort to end homelessness for over 30 years, growing and adapting along the way to meet the ever-changing needs of the people that they serve and meet new challenges head-on. And the challenges they're facing now, as you've heard from the previous speakers, may be the toughest yet, with more people across New Hampshire experiencing housing instability than ever before. Homelessness and housing affordability is the foremost challenge in our state. And we're so fortunate in Manchester to have a number of nonprofit partners, including FIT, supporting some of our most vulnerable adults and families. Yet we know there's still a lot of work to do in our community and throughout the state. I'm so thankful for the generosity of everyone in this room today and for Families in Transition's commitment to preventing and breaking the cycle of homelessness. Thank you so much and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
So imagine doing a career change of sorts right in the middle of like late 19, early 20, when all hell is breaking loose. And imagine that that job is one in which everybody is immediately looking to you because the need has spiked to immeasurably, ridiculously high levels. And imagine that that job is also being splashed across the front pages of newspapers and leading newscasts because that's the issue of the moment that so many people are obviously expressing concern about. Those couple of circumstances are the makeup of what Maria Devlin faced in her first days, hours, and just a few weeks on this job. She transitioned in at what could easily be described as the hardest possible scenario for families in transition. But she stepped in with grace and with decisiveness and with a sense of partnership and collaboration to help make a difference. And here we are, 3 years later, finally in person, able to enjoy this moment, this wonderful Thanksgiving tradition with all of you and with the President and CEO of Families in Transition, Maria Devlin.
Well, good morning. It's a little bit terrifying being up here after 3 years. About 500 people are joining us here in this room this morning, and honestly, it's such an honor to be here. I'm going to do a little bit of a plug. It's coming up, but I didn't see a lot of people taking out their phones earlier, so I'm going to remind you that this is a fundraising event, and you have a QR code on your placemats. And I would ask that every single one of you take the opportunity to look at the accomplishments of Families in Transition. Go ahead during my speech. You can make a donation. I urge you, and I thank you. So we've heard a lot about the fact that it's been a long time since we've been able to be together. I haven't seen some of you in years, except for in a small box. And many of you are new to me since my work has been elsewhere, and I am just so happy to be here with all of you and meet new friends. I want to take a moment and thank all of our civic leaders who are here with us today. Your collective leadership, support, and advocacy enables organizations like Families in Transition to do the important work that needs to be done. I'm really grateful that you are here to join us this morning, and I know all of our audience members are really happy to see you as well. So today is a special day. It's the first time we've been together in 3 years. And despite having joined the agency, as you heard, in June of 2020, this is the first time that I've been able to stand here in person. But today is also just another day. Today at our adult shelter, we're going to do roughly about 35 loads of laundry. Our kitchen is going to prepare and deliver over 400 meals to adults and families staying in our shelters and living in our housing programs. When our pantry opens at 10, we're going to welcome about 80 households and likely give away nearly 5,000 pounds of food. In fact, at this hour, our maintenance team is planning their day, reviewing their ongoing projects, responding to requests that came in overnight to support our more than 20 buildings and 287 units. And today, we'll include our case managers working with our participants, our outreach teams canvassing the community, and our substance use treatment disorder program providing outpatient care and support. Today, like every day at Families in Transition, it's just another day. When I reflect on this past year, and certainly at my time here at Families in Transition, I'm reminded of the importance of what we do each and every day. Our work is year-round, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whether the individuals and families that we support have been part of our program for years, or even for the very first time, we accomplish our work and our goals by treating people with dignity, collaborating with others, and meeting people where they are. Early in my tenure, I had the opportunity to work at our adult emergency shelter at 199 Manchester Street during the second shift. For those of you who don't know, our second shift runs from 4 p.m. to 12 o'clock midnight. A lot happens at the shelter during these hours. We prepare the shelter for the evening, we serve dinner, we welcome up to 138 men and women into the building for a warm and safe night. We conduct new participant intakes, we talk with our community, we hear stories, and we get ready to wind down for the evening. It's the busiest time of day. And our director, Mike Lynch, who is here today, is very fond of saying we are running a 138-bed, full-service hotel with 24-hour services and support 365 days a year. I think he's right. When I had the opportunity to work the second shift, I was constantly reminded of the fragility of our society and how easy it can be for someone to experience homelessness. I'm also reminded of the traumatic and debilitating and often scarring impact that comes from experiencing homelessness and food insecurity. We've seen firsthand the impact of COVID-19, a tightening economy, and the shrinking and costly housing market here in Manchester and across our state. We've also seen the tremendous impact that our program and services have. This year, our team at the adult shelter have been celebrating the graduation of participants that enter counseling and case management, enrolling in substance use treatment programs, and completing applications to secure housing. At our adult shelter, the team has created a bulletin board that actually advertises and celebrates individuals who complete these important steps. When I see these graduation caps and keys, you'll notice you all have a little keychain which represents the keys of people getting into their own home. I'm reminded of what's possible each and every single day. Our pantry, like our adult and family shelters, exemplify all of this. Unlike the old model of food pantries where individuals come to collect pre-sorted boxes of food, we've reimagined what it means to provide this type of service with dignity as a core value and competency. With Hannaford's help, we've brought a shopping experience to our pantry that seeks to ease and lessen the stigma that comes along with experiencing food insecurity. Our customers have always deserved nothing less. So that is why I'm pleased to know that we've been able to evolve our model and service to honor our core value of treating everyone, regardless of circumstance, with dignity. If you weren't able to join us at our ribbon cutting this summer, our latest project on Union Street is a shining testament to what this organization has always been about. During that event, our community members and stakeholders walked through the building. The most common refrain focus statement was how beautiful and dignified and wonderful the building is, as if anything less would have been acceptable. From the very beginning, Families in Transition has sought to create housing solutions that went beyond the mere necessities, but rather set the foundation for adults and families to plan for a place to call home, where safety, love, and laughter can be felt and be heard, where lives can be reestablished and reimagined, and people can move beyond the temporary to the sustained. Projects like Union Street often take years of planning and execution, from the financing and the resourcing to the construction and the eventual opening and filling. But like the old adage says, every journey begins with that first step. At Families in Transition, every day we make sure to take these vital steps for our community. Opening Union Street isn't the only goal, because at Families in Transition, we're interested in multiple bottom lines. Yes, Union Street brought online 11 additional units of housing for adults experiencing homelessness. Yes, it repurposed a former shelter and a halfway home and developed into an apartment building that blends in with the community and avoids the stigma that often comes with subsidized housing. And yes, we were able to secure financing that positions this building and project for sustainability for years and years to come. But despite all of these successes and wins, our goal, my goal, is to create more. A few months ago, as I was coming into our headquarters office for another day of work, a resident at our 122 Market Street building approached me. She's been living at our building for a little while, and she wanted to know if it would be okay to plant some flowers. This woman, she didn't know who I was, and she wasn't asking for my help. All she was asking is to turn her place where she lived and other families lived into a home. This is a touch that signifies pride and happiness where one lives, and that says that we value our home, our neighborhood, and our community. As most of you know, our work is hard and it's complicated. It's both systematic and highly personal. But our work is also incredibly rewarding because every day we have the opportunity to literally change someone's life. This is both an awesome responsibility and a privilege, one that I, along with the entire Families in Transition team, does not take lightly, casually, or for granted. In so many ways, today is just another day. Today is the day that we provide groceries. Today is the day that someone misses their appointment. Today is the day that a family is added to our emergency shelter list. And today is the day that someone comes into our adult shelter. Today is the day that we host teams and groups. We welcome a cadre of volunteers to help in our kitchens and our shelters. And every day we prepare to welcome and support shelter for up to 138 adults, deliver more than 400 meals across our agency. Today we are meeting, we're listening, we're talking, and we're partnering every day. But for one person, today may be the first day toward their new beginning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for being part of this work. Thank you for your financial support, just to make sure that we can do this work today, tomorrow, and for years to come. And now we have our agency video.
Every 24 hours, your support helps us to prepare and serve over 400 meals.
Every day, you help feed 80 households through our food pantry.
Every morning, over 300 people wake up in the comfort of their own home.
Daily, your donations to Outfitters Thrift Store provides much-needed clothing to those in need at our adult emergency shelter.
Every night, 18 families like mine rest their heads of the safety of our emergency shelters.
Every day, staff like me help participants to address the root cause of their homelessness by providing supportive services across all of our programs.
Every day, our staff provide outreach and case management to those living unsheltered in our community.
Every day, you, our committed volunteers and dedicated supporters, help families in transition prevent and break the cycle of homelessness.
Every day, our Willow Substance Use Treatment Center ensures people in recovery have access to the highest quality recovery services.
Every day, hundreds of kids like me go to school because they live in fit housing.
You make every day a better day.
Families in transition, I started here. I started out at the shelter and then also volunteer here at the pantry. I help stock the shelves and give out food to the community of Manchester. You get everyone from people that are still struggling with finding houses and full income to people that are working and need to subsidize. It's definitely a way to help get people by on a monthly basis that are struggling paycheck to paycheck. People are really grateful for the services. They're very thankful and they're appreciative of what we give them and the services offered. They always say thank you. Everything that comes in donation-wise gets put on the shelves, but they want to make it feel as homey as possible, like shopping at a supermarket, so it's pretty cool. I think that we need more organizations like this and continued support from the government, continued support from the communities, because we can't operate without our donations and without that monthly support. So it's very eye-opening to see how many people benefit from this program and to be able to give back. The volunteers here really take pride in the work that they do, and it's pretty much ran on all volunteers except for the workers behind the counter that also help out all the time. But it's awesome. Everybody puts their forth the effort to get things done. Like, I come here every day because I actually enjoy it and love it. Everybody's very supportive. It's very nice. It's a good environment to work in.
I've never been happier in a job. I can honestly say that. I take a lot of pride in what we do here. So it starts with our shelter support staff, and it's a safe place, a secure place to keep your belongings, a place where you can get a hot meal. Nightly average, we're at about 130 a night, or our capacity is 138, so we're right on the cusp of at or around capacity on a daily basis. We have 138 different perspectives on life, 138 different reasons why people are here, so those needs are really individualized. It's a spectrum. There are people, you meet them, you know them first name basis. There were people who came here last night who are already gone, and we'll never know their story or what their needs are, but we were able to provide what they needed in that time. I can't expect someone to work on those higher things of barriers to housing, insurance, and things like that if they're not getting their basic needs met first. And those higher needs things are where our case management team really takes over and provides those wraparound services and connecting them to finding what those needs are and targeting and prioritizing what those needs are to really make this a temporary stay, right? This is an emergency shelter. It's not a permanent shelter for people. So we really want to work on those needs and then move them on to bigger and better things.
One person told me about families in transition, so I went there because we don't have a place to be. It was, I think, 1 month ago, and they told me, we got an apartment for you. They helped me to come here, to help me with furnitures and stuff here, and they helped me with everything. I love everything here. It's my home. I feel good here. This room is the living room. I love to be here with my baby because the little place to play, and I love to be here because I can cook in the same area with him, and every time I look at him. He is 6 months and he's good. He's a good boy. I love him. I want to work to make my life here with my baby and can give him everything. Families in transition, for me, they are my friends. So there, I have friends there. They help me with everything. And honestly, I don't know what to do if I don't find a place like families in transition. Yesterday, it was bad days because I don't have a place to be with my baby, and now I have one. It happened because people helped me. And if tomorrow I can do that, I'm gonna do that for other people.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the few moments that we have left before you strike out over the river and through the woods into your own Thanksgiving celebration, before you leave, a couple of closing thoughts in a way you can turn that inspiration into action and assistance. There's two main ways to give. Scan the QR code that's on the placemat of your program right in front of you, 4 or 5 clicks away from being able to give. Or just open the phone app and follow the prompts. It's that easy. Credit cards, PayPal, Venmo, a few other ways that I haven't figured out, but my kids understand how to make payments. All of those are at your disposal, at your fingertips right now. Or at your table captain has envelopes to secure any checks, or provide credit card info, or even request an invoice. I invite all of you to do that now. You can give it whatever amount you would like. As you can see, Families in Transition from the screen, we can stretch dollars beautifully and brilliantly and make a major impact on a large number of people all at once. Give to what feels good, or maybe give a little bit more than what feels good. Maybe if it hurts just a little bit, it gives that much more impact. But we appreciate your generosity. We appreciate your time and being here and all the things that you do to help strengthen our community and meet the needs of those who need it most. A few housekeeping items. If I could invite all of our speakers and elected officials to just hang out at the front for pictures just very quickly, and that includes Grace, if she's still here. And you are obviously invited to take home from your tables all of the lovely centerpieces, and don't forget your keychains, and grab a pen if you please. And so before we say a fond farewell and a happy holiday, I'd like to bring Maria Devlin up for just a couple of final words. Maria?
All right, keep on doing that QR code. Table captains, how's it going? Good? All right. Thank you all so very, very much. We know time is getting tight, and thank you, Scott. Please, Scott Spradling, everyone. Before we conclude our time here today, I want to ask that our Families in Transition board, staff, and volunteers please stand to be recognized. They're throughout the entire room. Thank you so, so much. These are just some of the people who help make the work we do every day happen every day, every month, and every year. I could not be standing before you without each and every one of them. They are who make ordinary days extraordinary. During our time this morning, I hope you heard the underlying theme of how Families in Transition operates. Each and every day can be a day where ordinary things, such as doing laundry or serving meals, can lead to change. Now, I know, not everyone knows what it's like to do 35 loads of laundry in one day, or prepare and serve 400 or 500 meals, but for Families in Transition, this is our day today. And if any of you are really wondering what it's like, we have a volunteer job for you. So please know that your time is as important as your financial donations, and you can come and help us do laundry, help us serve meals, and help us do much more. We have brought you the ordinary days, and we hope that it sheds a little bit more light about what Families in Transition does and what we stand for. We work with over 600 people every day. People who have experienced homelessness and food insecurity. Those more than 600 people are able to put their heads down every night in one of our buildings. Over 600. And to me, that's extraordinary. Some days our work is tedious and it feels like the weight of all homelessness is on our shoulders. And other days, a participant is helping to do laundry, a participant is agreeing to go to treatment, or a participant is being handed keys to their Families in Transition apartment. Each day is different, and each day this team is making a difference. When I think about our work and how I hope we will continue, I am always thoughtful about my impact and the impact of this team and the impact that we're having on the community. I think about the people supported long before me and long after me, and I think about how important it is for me to live my life in service to others. And it reminds me of a poem that I want to read to you now. And some of you may have heard of it, The Dash by Linda Ellis. I didn't think I would get emotional. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that the first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they have spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that still can be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way other people feel and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treated each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering the special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say and how you spent your dash? Thank you for being part of our dash. Have a tremendous day, everyone. Thank you.
Come on, really? Oh my gosh, Maria. Thank you all very much.